I tried beating Terraria, but I can only use mini sharks. Anything from a wooden mini shark all the way up to the Zenith mini shark. This mod adds a shark for every single stage of the game. I started off by spawning into my wonderful, lustful, green Terraria world. I opened up my starter bag and then my game crashed. But that's not a problem for the old Boio because I just restarted the game and opened the bag again. I consumed my mana stars, equipped my accessories, got myself the life crystals, and then I realized that, well, I can craft myself the very first mini shark, which was the wooden shark. But we're going to have to make quite more progress in the game before we can actually use it, as we need to get ammo, and it only fires musket balls. This was a horrific weapon, by the way. It only dealt like 2 damage, so it was kind of pointless to use. But now that we have a shark, I'm on to step number 2. I need to go and break a demon orb, which is located inside of the corruption, in order to get myself some musket balls, get myself the musket, and get the arms dealer to move in. I spent all of the beginning of the game chopping down trees, getting myself wood. I built a couple of NPC houses, and then I went over to explore the desert on the right side of the world. After passing the desert, I stumbled upon a couple more chests. I looted all of them, and then I continued over to the jungle. I used the spear for now because that was the only weapon I could deal damage with, as I do not have any ammo for the mini shark. So I tried to overpower some mobs with that, and then I traveled over to the right side of the world, went to the ocean to see if there's anything good in the chests, and then I teleported right back home. I went over to the left side of the world and discovered a corruption biome. This is going to be key, as we need to destroy one of the orbs in order to get ourselves some musket balls as early as we can in the game. I don't have any bombs yet, so I can't really destroy them, but that is the very next goal that I need to reach. I went mining within the ice biome, managed to land inside of a cavern, and then I got attacked by bats. I was mining some ores throughout this entire time, and once I came back to spawn, I started working on a elevator. By the way, I know that not all of you played Terraria. A elevator is just like a hole that goes all the way down from, you know, the top of the world to the bottom. So if it's your first time watching the video, that's what that is. I started digging that out, managed to fall into a little mine shaft, and then I found some lead ore. I also found a little chest, so I explored that, and I continued digging down. This is actually a phenomenal way to get ores in early Terraria, so take that as a tip. If you want to get ores, make yourself a elevator and then use a spelunker potion, just like I did a little bit further within the game. I used the spelunker potion and then went mining for ores. Once it turned to nighttime, I came back to the surface, and by this point I actually had a bunch of bombs. So I blew up some of the orbs within the corruption and got myself the musket. Now that we have our very first official Terraria gun, in quotation marks, you know, we can finally get the arms dealer to come. And I also have some musket balls, meaning that we can start using the wooden shark. This weapon was completely awful, and I mean, it dealt like 2 damage. It was very horrific to use. I made myself an NPC prison builder, and then I proceeded to build myself a bunch of NPC prisons. Then I went to go check all the various different crafting recipes for the mini sharks. We could actually craft like the Muramasa mini shark. The complete melee progression with the mini sharks like applies to the mini sharks here, so we can craft the Zenith mini shark. There's like the True Knight's Edge mini shark, all of that fun stuff. At this point, I had run out of ammo, and I desperately needed the arms dealer to move in, because if he didn't move in, I am kind of out of luck and I can't use any weapons. I headed over to the left side of the world, and then I teleported back because I found nothing. But once I came back, the arms dealer was actually here, so I bought myself tons, and I mean tons of musket balls, so we can finally use our mini shark. Using all of our newfound power, I started to explore the caverns again, now that I actually have a way to fight back against the enemies, you know? I spent this entire time digging. I made my way down to the underworld, and before making my way all the way down, I decided to teleport back to spawn. The rest of my day was literally spent in the corruption, just killing a bunch of the Eater of Souls, and then I proceeded to mine up some Demonite. I then came back to spawn, went over to the jungle, and started destroying the jungle enemies because I wanted to craft myself the jungle mini shark, as we would need that for the night's mini shark. I got myself stingers by killing a bunch of hornets. I also got myself jungle spores, and once I came back to spawn, I actually had enough Demonite to craft the cursed shark, which is basically like the Demonite sword version of the mini shark. This dealt like 5 times more damage than the wooden mini shark, so it was definitely worth it to craft, and we could now get on to actually fighting some decent bosses. I crafted myself some armor out of like any bars that I had, just so I had some defense to fight the Eye of Cthulhu. And I also managed to find myself the Eye of Cthulhu summon, which was pretty good, so I made an infinite summon. And before waiting for it to turn to nighttime, I actually went over to the corruption and then started fighting the Eater of Worlds. I broke the last orb and started spamming the Eater of Worlds. To no one's surprise, I actually defeated him, and he was very easy. And once I had defeated him, I crafted myself the Nightmare Pickaxe and then waited for it to turn to nighttime so then I could also fight the Eye of Cthulhu. During my long wait, I went mining, tried to finish my elevator, made myself an arena for the Eye of Cthulhu, and once it turned to nighttime, well, I fought the Eye of Cthulhu and I took it out. After the Eye of Cthulhu and the Eater of Worlds was defeated, my next step was to get all the Hellstone I needed in the world in order to make myself some hellstone gear and the molten shark, which was, as you can guess, a mini shark crafted out of molten bars. Duh. I got myself a hell forge, I got myself tons of obsidian, got myself hellstone, and once I got all of that, I crafted myself the molten shark. I actually got a hurtful reforge on it, which was pretty nice as that made it deal far more damage. I then went over to the jungle. I also picked up a meteorite on the way, which I hadn't even noticed landed. And once I was in the jungle, I just started spamming a bunch of hornets so I can get as many stingers as I could and craft the jungle shark. I managed to get all the resources that I needed to craft the jungle shark, and once I came back to spawn, I crafted it. All we need now is the Muramasa version of the shark, which I need to get into the dungeon for. So we have to wait till nighttime in order to defeat Skeletron. During this time, I was just messing around, going mining. I was just waiting for it to turn to nighttime. I went to go mine some hellstone just to kill some time and pretend like I was doing something useful. But there was actually something that I realized at this point. You did not actually have to go and defeat Skeletron to get the Muramasa shark, but you can craft it. So I got myself some sapphire, and then using the sapphire, I actually crafted the Muramasa shark. Using this 200 IQ play, I went over to a demon altar and crafted the Knight's Shark. As soon as this was done, I didn't even bother killing Skeletron because, well, I'm kind of too good for him anyways. I went straight over to the underworld. I somehow managed to find a guide voodoo demon, which was quite lucky as they usually don't spawn for me. But once that was done, I had a massive arena built and I just chucked the guide voodoo doll into the lava. And as the wall of flesh spawned, I spammed him with the Knight's Shark and I took him out. I took it out. I took her out, but I don't know her I don't know its pronouns. I'm not really into that stuff, you know. We took it out, right? The wall of flesh is an it, and now we're officially into hard mode. So I broke all, and I mean all, and I broke all, and I mean all of the demon altars, and I blessed it with titanium, mithril, and palladium. I started the treacherous pickaxe progression at this point, getting myself the palladium pickaxe, then getting the mithril pickaxe, getting the mithril anvil, and then getting myself a bunch of titanium. I then went over to the hallowed biome, which was underground, and started farming out souls of light as I needed that for my next boss. I also started trying to find as many crystals as I could as I needed the crystal shard ammo or the bullets, as they were probably the next best thing to use instead of just, you know, using normal musket balls, as that's just not going to cut it for the mechanical bosses. So after doing that, I came back to spawn, crafted myself a bunch of crystal bullets, and then once it was nighttime, I went over to Skeletron's dungeon and I took out Skeletron. I wanted this in order to get a bunch of water candles, and using the water candles, I could actually craft an item that increases the spawn rates of the enemies by 10 times, which you will come to see very soon. I got as many water candles as I could, and then I kind of hit spikes and I died. But as I came back to spawn, I crafted myself a bunch of crystal bullets and geared up to go to the dungeon once more. I decided on not going to the dungeon as that wasn't really my top priority right now, and I realized that I needed wings to actually maneuver the dungeon and every other little cavern within the Terraria world. So using a gravitation potion, I flew up into the Sky Islands, and well, I started trying to farm out wyverns. Once I got myself enough souls of flight and a giant harpy feather, I came all the way back to spawn, crafted myself a pair of harpy wings, made myself nearly a full set of titanium armor. I couldn't get the last piece as I didn't have enough, and once I realized that I don't have enough, I went down into the underworld to farm out more titanium. I got myself a full set of ranger titanium armor, and then using the Knight's Shark, I started fighting the twins. We managed to defeat both of the twins very easily. We took out, you know, the green spewing one first, and then we took out the laser dude, right? That was pretty neat. And then using the new hallowed bars that we had obtained, I crafted myself the hallowed shark. Using the hallowed shark, I started taking out the destroyer, and this took quite a long time, but we managed to do it. And then after taking out the destroyer, I decided to craft the mechanical skull, make an infinite summon of it, and then go and fight Skeletron Prime all in one night. That is correct. So using the hallowed shark and our crystal bullets, we took out Skeletron Prime with not much difficulty either, causing the jungle to grow restless, which means Terra is right around the corner, and our next goal is to get as much chlorophyte as we can. This also gives us access to chlorophyte bullets, which is essentially one of the best ammo types in the game as it is extremely homing, meaning it locks onto enemies. Using all of the souls, I crafted myself the true Knight's Shark, and then I went mining for chlorophyte with my newly acquired pickaxe axe. And once I came back to spawn, I crafted it all into bars. And once I crafted it, I was underwhelmed as I only could craft 23 bars. But those 23 bars were more than enough to craft the true hallowed shark, and then combining the true Knight's Shark and the true hallowed shark, we can craft the Terra Shark, which is exactly what I crafted. And now we have literally one of the most OP sharks within the game pre-planned Terra. This is of course not the best mini shark, as there are a couple other ones that may be able to beat this one, but this one's quite good. Especially with the correct ammo type, it can shred through almost anything. Anyways, since I could not find Plantera's bulb, I decided to just go and get all the raw materials from a quality of life mod in order to craft it, which was 5 moonglow, 5 blink root, and a bit of chlorophyte. I also went mining for chlorophyte as well. I just need a little bit more, and without it, we also wouldn't be able to craft full shroomite armor, so I was kind of forced to get more chlorophyte. Then I went over to explore the dungeon, as we still don't have the item that increases our spawn rates, and after I got all my resources, I came all the way back home. Still not having enough moonglow, I went back into the jungle, mining up every bit of dirt, every bit of chlorophyte in order to get enough resources to craft the summon for Plantera. Then I went back to the normal caverns to get enough plants to craft the Plantera bulb, and once I had all the resources required, I crafted the stupid summon. As soon as this was done, I got myself some potions and then started clearing out a little arena within the jungle. Once I had a tiny arena going, I put down a platform and then just spawned in Plantera. This boss fight was a total joke and we destroyed her. I mean, I only still had titanium armor. Keep this in mind, right? So we absolutely shredded through her, and now we can actually enter the temple. I decided to go straight into Golem's temple, clear out all of the traps, make a mini arena, and start fighting him. I took him out with the Terra Shark as well, surprisingly, and then fought him a couple more times until I made my way back to spawn. This is where I realized I'm actually going to need to make a mushroom biome in order to get full shroomite armor and one of the mini sharks required to make the Zenith Shark. I crafted myself more chlorophyte bullets and then went to go fight the lunatic cultist, just so we can kind of get him over. Once the lunatic cultist was out, I started mining up an entire mushroom biome in order to get enough seeds and enough mud blocks to make an above ground mushroom biome so we could summon in the truffle. I started work on this and planted the seeds, waiting for it to grow, and in the meantime, I started attacking the pillars. I went for the solar pillar first, as I thought it would just be the easiest. That wasn't very smart of me, as we all know the solar pillar is the hardest. Put down in the comments below, what do you think is the hardest pillar? I went back to Golem's temple thinking that, you know, I could fight him again, but I ended up dying, and then as I teleported to the jungle, I also died, making me heavily rethink my strategy of trying to get to the temple and the jungle in general. I finally crafted the item that actually made our spawn rates increase and decrease, so I decreased all the spawn rate and then made my way over to the jungle. This is where I was on the hunt for more mushroom seeds, and in order to make the mushroom biome grow even faster, and then I went mining for chlorophyte, as life fruits are required for actually one of the crafting recipes for one of these sharks. Once I had all the materials I needed, I came all the way back to spawn, and then I expanded my mushroom biome, as all the stuff that was above right now wasn't gonna cut it, and I needed more of the mushrooms to take over more of the blocks. I continued fighting the solar pillar, and I finally managed to take it out. Then once the mushroom biome actually was a valid biome, I put down a little prison for the truffle, and then I went to go fight the nebula pillar. I took out the nebula pillar, I defeated a bunch of mechanical bosses in order to get myself more money so I can buy more of the little blue powder, so I can turn all of my chlorophyte into shroomite. Anyways, once I nearly had a full set of shroomite armor, I went over to fight the Stardust pillar. Taking out as many mobs as I could, I got the pillar to reduce its shield, and I took out the pillar. Now before taking out the very last Vortex pillar, I decided to get a full set of shroomite armor, get some better accessories, and then I went mining for chlorophyte because I still needed some chlorophyte in order to make the last remaining piece of the shroomite armor, which was the boots. I crafted a full set, got myself a bunch of potions as I'm gearing up for Moonlord, and then I went to go fight the Vortex Pillar. I took out all the enemies, I took out the Vortex Pillar, I buffed up, ran back to my arena, and started fighting Moonlord. Using the chlorophyte bullets, this boss fight was not too difficult. I started working on his right arm, and as I was super close to taking out his right arm and his eyeball, he shot his laser and I actually died. The main reason of this was because frankly my wings were too underpowered and I couldn't outfly the laser. So this is where I had to strategize and make myself a new pair of wings that would help me fly above his laser. That's exactly what I did. I went to go farm some wyverns, got myself beetle wings. I actually fought the Martian Madness invasion as I needed the saucer to drop a certain weapon, and once I got the specific shark from the saucer that I needed, I put it into my shark chest, and then I fought the Moonlord once more. This time we took out all 3 of his eyes, we went to go fight his core, and slowly but surely, we managed to take down his core and take out the moonlord. I wasn't done here yet though, as I still wanted to get the remainder of the shark so we can craft the zenith shark, and I can show you how overpowered it is. I decided to fight him a couple more times in order to experiment with all the various different sharks that he drops, using the meow shark, using the star shark, and frankly they weren't really any better than the zenith shark. I guess they did do a little bit more damage, but frankly they weren't really any better than the terra shark. I guess they did do a little more damage, but there was nothing really special, no special effects, nothing cool in general. So I decided to end off the playthrough here as there wasn't really much to the mod. But I hope you enjoyed the video. Consider subscribing to the channel if you're new. This has been Boio. Peace out.